Welcome back to the Dreamcatchers, everybody.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Thursday.
Oh, is it Thursday? It is Thursday. So. We are here today at Shared Universe in Red Bank with two very special guests who we will introduce in just a minute. But I'm just quickly reminding myself, okay, it is 88. It is 88.
Today is the 88th episode.
88th episode of the Dreamcatchers
88
podcast.
Conversations, much like the one we're about to have.
Yep. And today's theme is What's the Word? And we chose Excel, which
because we like a double or triple entendre.
I think this might be a triple entendre. We learned right before we went live.
It could be.
So we are here today with two friends of ours, happen to be a couple, and actually
not relevant, but also important.
I only say that because we just recently had our first couple on.
Yes,
and now we have our second couple on.
Literally in the series of the 80s, we've had two sets of couples. However, the other set doesn't work together.
They don't, but we had them on together.
So
but here we are.
This couple actually may be the reigning title.
Yeah, it's very true.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to have you guys introduce yourselves while I share everything across social media. Again, welcome back. We are here today in partnership with Excel House, which we're about to talk about. So excited to tell you about what they're doing and how they got to where they are. And we're just super proud of them. And we're in the space when it was literally studs. I said that in the caption yesterday. And now have seen it in its glory, and it's flourishing, and it's really amazing to watch. And they're neighbors and friends, and just thrilled to have you guys here today. So, Katherine, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, your title, if you will, I guess, besides, founder, creative genius, designer, mom. So tell us who you are.
Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for having us today. My name is Katherine Commer. I go by Kat from a lot of people. But yes, Russell and I are the couple behind Excel House. I am the community manager. Again, mom, kind of like creative marketing director, just kind of like fully immersed in the business and
the way it looks and feels and runs.
Yeah.
So tell us quickly before we switch to your husband. I obviously could say the words because I saw them on the website and I was looking a little bit on the social. What do you call Excel House? Like, what is it to you? Like, tell us what Excel House is in your words.
A coworking community, digital learning center, just a place where people can come together, share innovative ideas, work in a beautiful space that's inspiring, and learn as well.
I saw something, I forget where it was that I stole it from, but it was like, don't work at home, work close to home, or something like that, which I loved because it's right here. It's, we're here in Red Bank today. We all are living in Fairhaven, and it's in Little Silver, which for our audience that's not local is literally the town over from where we live. And I know this is very local for many of you, but I actually wanted to just insert and say this could apply to any community, right? You're newish to town. You have this great idea.
Russell's goals.
And
he hasn't even gotten to talk yet.
I know. And then you did this, which I think is really relevant to share, that even though it's a local company, can be relevant to any local community and how you moved here and made this happen. So go ahead, Russell, introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. So my name's Russell Commer. I'm the CEO of eSoftware Associates and also the co-owner of Excel House, which was kind of birthed from my software background and our experience working in co-working and offices around the area for the last, give or take, 10 years. So we have a lot of experience working in other people's spaces, but we wanted to create our own.
Mm-hmm.
So in combination with my consulting firm and Katherine's design expertise, we kind of built Excel House, and happens to be in Little Silver where we used to live, moved, a few minutes down the road to Fairhaven, but all within the same kind of world there. And, we love Little Silver, and we're happy to be right in the middle of the town there.
I love it. And you know what I was going to say is I love what you just said. We talk about this all the time, and we say it often on the podcast. And I said it yesterday. I was lucky enough to speak at Monmouth University to a bunch of classes yesterday and said the words see a need, fill a need, which is something that my dad always taught us and where the Dreamcatchers came from. And Christian's reacting, so he might like that sentence. Yeah. So you saw a need, right? You're working out of other co-working spaces and had your own ideas and visions and decided to just, do it yourself, which I absolutely love. And which we'll get into a little bit. But, obviously the theme of our podcast, and everyone knows this at this point that's listened before, but if you're new, is a career story, right? How you got to where you are. And our first question, no matter the theme, no matter the guest, whether you're entrepreneurs or, climbers up the ladder, as we call them, we ask the same thing, which is, and we try to, Marissa's actually really good at this, trying to correlate what is that you say with what you do now. So, we're going to do that somehow, right? So the first question is, what did you want to be when you grew up? Was it, I'm guessing not?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So tell us what your dream job was, or what your first earliest memory was of what you wanted to be.
I mean, I remember the first thing I wanted to be was a veterinarian, which
I feel like a lot of people say that. Isn't that so
I don't even know. I guess I just really loved animals. At one point, my parents were like, well, if you want to get an iguana, you have to do a report on it. And then that like shattered my whole dreams. I'm like,
research,
maybe not.
Is less fun.
Yep.
I've always been a very creative person, whether it be music, arts. My family has, been very involved in design. My grandmother was an interior designer. And so I think just innately, I am like gifted in that sense. I have a great eye for design, and I kind of through that thought, oh, maybe I could do that too. So that was always kind of in the back of my head. Growing up, I was in art classes. I was involved in a lot of music in high school and things like that. And I kind of took a pause on that when I was in college. But then returned to it after graduating. And I'm like, this is something I really want to pursue. So I ended up going to Parsons for interior design in New York City. I had an internship there. I was so happy, excited for, the trajectory of my upcoming career. And then the recession happened. So I had to kind of do a switch and say, okay, they no longer needed me, and they couldn't, have me on their team anymore. So I ended up in all kinds of different areas. One being like real estate, property management in New York City.
Sounds like she needed a little dream love at that time.
Yeah.
I wish I had gotten my hands on your resume.
When was this? 2009?
2008-9. Yeah.
Misery. Yeah.
And
I had a colicky baby during that moment.
Oh, Lord.
Also to add to it. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Couldn't sell my apartment.
And at that time, Russell and I had just kind of started dating. We were in Hoboken, and he was really helpful in kind of, guiding me, I guess, into other
landscapes.
Yeah.
Helping you excel?
Right, yes. Yes, you did.
This is an opportunity for a
cathartic. I had been working with a recruiter, and I'm just like, I feel lost. Like what I thought in my head didn't end up happening. I don't know where to go. And so she's like, well, you could, have an opportunity doing, operations in finance. So I ended up working at a hedge fund for 5 years, and somehow through that got involved in their events. So then my creativity kind of came back to me, which was awesome. And I was really excited about that. I ended up kind of branching out and creating my own company after leaving them. And
bless me. Sorry.
I owned a baby shower planning business, and I was just so passionate about that. It was incredible. Russell was a huge help in just getting that new business off its feet, and just always encouraged me along the way. So although I've taken all these different steps in my career, I think it's important to allow yourself to be open to opportunities that you might not necessarily be interested in. But if you have a gift in certain areas, you can kind of hone in on that, and then that could lead into something else. And
you're preaching to the choir.
Preaching to the choir. And one of the things that to put it into our language, which we say all the time, I said multiple times yesterday, is if you can't find the dream job, you got to find the dream in the job, right? So your dream job was at that time interior design. You tripped into operations and finance, yet you still found yourself saying
using your creativity.
Use your creativity, and that's self-driven. That comes from within. You have to ask, you have to try, you have to volunteer for those. I'm sure you probably can remember the time where you're like, somebody asked you if you could help with the events, and you're like, yes, that's exactly what I want to be doing. Exactly. And so that was what I was saying to these college kids yesterday. It's like, if you end up in a job that's not as close to the dream job as you wanted it to be, which happens, what can we be doing every day to get closer, right? And then eventually finding the strength, finances, wisdom, Russell, to start your own thing and get out, right? And that's really inspirational to us, because that's literally almost every single person's story, I think, in some way. But I also like what you were saying about identifying what you wanted to be, because we also talk about this with our clients, where doing that inventory of people around you, right? You were surrounded by creativity and interior design. So like, you were lucky enough to kind of identify that young, and then you took a little bit of some turns, but you came back to it, which I love for you. Okay, so before you tell us how you got to where you are now, I'd love to hear Russell's path and what you thought you wanted to be when you grew up, and kind of the trajectory you took instead, or because of.
Okay. Let's see. It probably started around 7th grade when I started building hacking programs for AOL. And
that's an image.
At that point, it was dealing with custom programming languages. So that kind of stuck with me until I got my first job at HSBC on Wall Street. So I worked in finance for 5 years, but at that first job, we did a lot of custom automation for operations departments within Excel. And the knowledge that I had from building Visual Basic hacking programs back in 7th grade carried forward to actually using it productively in the finance arena. So we were able to do a lot of automation when that stuff really didn't exist back in 2007, 2006. So that kind of led its way to me then doing it for other people on the side, Craigslist ads. And then finally quitting my job after being at Credit Suisse and, suntanning on my balcony on Brother Jimmy's for a while, for emails and
Brother Jimmy's.
Starting a small business that then now has grown into about 30 staff members, and we focus on enterprise Microsoft 365, SharePoint work, Power Apps, custom Excel and Office solutions, database stuff. But it kind of came from those the 7th grade experiences.
How funny
so
is
when
that?
You discovered you were good at that, is that what you thought you wanted to be?
Well, I knew I could obsess over something for about 20 hours straight and not eat, which is like kind of a superpower, but also not good, because that's not very healthy mentally. But I do have that ability, and so it's led me to be able to accomplish things that a lot of people just don't have the focus or the grit
tenacity
to actually follow through with. So I built my company from nothing, and no one's ever given us any money or anything like that. But basically, it's just a lot of hard work over a long period of time.
So I think what I'm hearing is you were in your divine intervention is like you came up at the right time. You were able to take some raw skills and apply it in a way where other people needed what you were naturally good at, which is awesome. So for people that don't understand some of the language that he used before, his company.
Did you understand the language that he used?
I understood a lot of them just from keyword searches on resumes.
Just making sure.
I mean, I worked in fashion.
Understand it, Kat?
Now I do. Back then, no.
But a lot of the programs that his firm offers is operational organization, CRM type solutions, making things easier for other companies to report and understand their business, correct?
We basically solve business problems with software, and we leverage Microsoft's platform to do that.
Got it.
Okay, so making people that are working's lives easier.
Yeah. With
Russell makes
technology.
their day-to-day life easier.
Well, it sounds like that's something he's also doing with his new business, which I love.
Right.
Yes.
So we have a training
Um,
component. That's a big thing at Excel House.
Mhm.
We do on-site and remote training for companies all across the country as well in my other business. So this is kind of an extension to more of the community, more of the consumer level, as opposed to group training for employees.
Right. So he took from his experience and seeing that learning is important and teaching is important.
Mhm.
I mean, when we first met, which we met under a different ruse, if you will. But when we first met, I was talking to you and talking about Excel. And my husband is actually super fluent in Excel. He's one of those Excel,
Oh,
I don't
geez.
know,
Gurus.
what's the
Super
word?
Aficionado.
Thank you. I can't say it. Yes. Where,
Afios.
for us as recruiters, traditional recruiters, we knew those words as VLOOKUPs,
Pivot
pivot tables. That's what we knew hiring managers would look for. So we would try to pull those words out of people's resumes if they were able to do it. Of course, I never learned how to do any of
Or
those
they
things.
could have taken a class.
Yes.
By the way,
yeah. No, but I was just saying, so he saw that these skills are actually really important skills.
yeah, and a lot
and
of
wanted
industries
to bring
require
them
it.
to our community.
I love it.
Super cool.
Mhm.
Among allowing other people to take what their skills are, professional skills, and bring them into your now house in a town not so far away. So I just think it's a really neat way of combining, shall I say, like the pretty woman of it all. It's like you're doing the big things and then you're doing the little things.
I agree. And I think
Pop culture reference.
pop culture reference. I think, that's a good Christian likes that one too. I think that leads us well into our next question, which is kind of like how we got to here, right? So we like to talk about on the What's the Word arc of our podcast, a specific word that we think embodies what you guys are doing, which obviously you chose for us. It was very easy for us to choose, which is Excel, which to us obviously has multiple meanings, right? To you, and many of us, it's a computer program, right? But it also means to exceed and to be excellent and to succeed, right? Which you are now providing a space for people to do in the community. And by the way, are teaching it in May, right? May 21st, I think we were talking about there's going to be an Excel class at Excel House, which is
All
excellent.
levels, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's a beginner to intermediate level.
I love that. I might
So you
even
could
come
brush
because
up on your
I wanna
skills.
brush up on it. I think, and I just talked about this, like I said yesterday with these students about certain things, when you're interviewing, and I say this to our audience freely, it's like, if you know that you're going to need Excel for whatever it is that you're going to do next and you're okay at it, like there's opportunity to take a class in your town or I'm sure many places online or in your community, and you just have to look for it. And I love that you guys are doing that. So tell us what led you to naming the brand Excel House. Obviously, Excel, can mean a lot of things. But I'm curious how you decided to land there.
Hacking AOL wasn't at the front run.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one, but
Yeah.
Dial-up house.
My mom still has AOL.com.
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's still paying for that too.
Yeah.
It was kind of the play on the word, right? Excel
Mhm.
has helped me personally grow a brand that I've very much appreciate and love everyone who we work with. And then Excel also means to excel in life, to have fun, to accomplish things, and that's something that I think is really important for everyone to do.
Mm-hmm.
To feel good about yourself, you need to do these things. You need to excel and achieve whatever goals they are, small, big, whatever, but you have to feel good about yourself. So,
And I think, there's always an opportunity to learn more. People feel good when they learn something new or, enhance their skills at something. There's people crave that. And I think, us being able to deliver these classes, or some of them are speakers, is a really great thing for our community. And we're kind of building this almost serendipitous community where, people are kind of coming together to learn about something or hear about something, and they might have totally different backgrounds, but they're kind of there for a common goal at the end of the experience that they have. And through that, they're they could be meeting each other where they would have never met before. And who knows what kind of connections they can make with each other. So it's like we're kind of starting this like small seed of growth for people.
It's a gift.
It is a gift.
So I think about what you've done so far, right? So first of all, just as a customer, all right? So we've now discussed this. We're asking these questions. We're hearing the background. But I just want to say what I've experienced. They've created this beautiful space for local individuals to come in, take meetings, work there. You can actually consider it your home office if you'd like. You can take advantage. You can rent an office. You could
have a meeting.
You can have a post. You can have a post zip code mailbox thing.
Yep,
that was the English
there.
I was looking for.
Mhm.
I have used the conference room for meetings when I've needed to do. I mean, as you can imagine, back in the day, Jamie and I did most of our meetings all in person.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm so fortunate to have an interview or a resume session or a LinkedIn session with someone that's relatively local, it would be lovely to be able to do it at a place that I'm not hearing, the entire sophomore class come in and get their coffee during a break. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's nice to be able to go somewhere beautiful and warm and friendly and easy, which they have created. In addition to that, they have the revenue stream of the classes. So for instance, since they've been open, I think off the top of my head, they taught our friend Steph Goldman, Gittleman taught Gold Maze. That's where it was. A social media class, which was awesome because she's known for her reels and she's an extremely talented and an incredible teacher. Also, David took the AI class. Is there one I missed? Maybe there was another one.
Oh, there was the
We had a couple
sports
speakers.
There was a somebody about sports recruiting.
Yes.
I saw who I actually met in a different guise as well. Who was lovely, talking about the ins and outs of your kid getting recruited for college sports. There's been several things. We actually are planning our own event, small plug, to do a resume workshop for college students when they're home, hopefully the first week of June. So stay tuned for that. Obviously an Excel class coming up. Other opportunities for groups to host in the space, whether it's class moms, you were saying earlier, like things that are not necessarily public to the whole community, but opportunities for members to host things there if needed. So I want
in a professional capacity, which by the way,
beautiful capacity.
It feels luxurious.
Yeah. So let me ask you to back up a second. I'd like to understand the aha moment because, right, a lot of our listeners who are career pivoters, shifters, climbers, beginners are inspired by hearing how our guests got here. Right. So you have this very successful Excel business. You have little kids. You live locally. What's the aha moment that you're like, you know what?
I'm going to do another thing.
We're going to do another thing. We're going to take over this beautiful space right in the center of town in Little Silver.
We're going to renovate the whole building.
Yep.
For 2 years.
For 2
years. So, fortunately, you're married to an interior designer.
Yes. So tell us how that happened. Like, what was the aha moment? What was the light bulb?
I think I was looking on LoopNet for some real estate just in between meetings. And I saw this awesome parcel in the middle of Little Silver, but it happened to be on the end of the main road there
Prospect.
with on Prospect with no building next to it, and had this awesome parking lot. Building was dilapidated, pretty much falling over. And I saw the vision of like really creating a cool, I was a fraternity guy, so I always think of like, how can you make a
like a frat house?
Yeah, but in a professional, how
can
you make it like a social vibe that's fun and inclusive, has outdoor space, has ease of walking into, obviously upgraded to make it super comfortable. Anyway, I saw my 40-year-old fraternity house in this building and kind of had the gut feeling like, I think we need to do this.
I love that.
Yeah. And I told Katherine, she's like, well, I can't really stop you because you just do whatever you want to do. Anyway. It was more like I alerted her that I was going to do this.
Yes,
you made the announcement.
I will.
She's like, I think I can design the inside. Yeah.
She'd have to deal with the emotional turmoil as we went. So.
Well, I mean, I think when you are, so this is another, fortunately or unfortunately, or whichever way you want to look at it, it's another child, right? So you're fostering a new business. And then in addition to running your current business while also having
small children,
2 little girls, right? So it's a lot, but I think, the end goal is that you are planting seeds in the community in which you live.
Mm.
And, you know, for me,
Same.
yes, us too. So for me, I worked in a professional, non-corporate environment for my entire career, self-driven. With the exception of a few years at the beginning, which I say is like 8, but it was really like 5. And LOL, we looked back at it and I've been, I don't know, making up my own years for years. Anyway, point is I did not get the opportunity to lunch and learn. I
Yeah.
did not get the opportunity to take in more information
And
that
to learn
other
from others.
companies
Yeah.
offer as part of their infrastructure. So the fact that that is accessible to someone like me who has always been professional but entrepreneurial is such an awesome thing. So if you think about, you know, you start to see as they build it, another pop reference, if you build it, they will come. So as you continue to put more classes on the roster, more classes will come to the roster and more of us will be able to say, oh, I'm going to take that one, or I'm going to take this one, or this is more up my alley, or this is more up my alley. And whatever your alley is, there'll be something there for you to tap into. And I really do think and I'm speaking for all of us, I think one of the reasons why we live where we live is because there's a lot of incredibly talented, fascinating people around us. It's not a boring area. We see
And we
that
have
all
the beach.
time.
But yes, very
Yes.
smart people
Well-
and the water.
Well, because we all have like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say? He said, you said it's nice to also be able to enjoy your life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people here, most people here, feel that way,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I agree.
Anyway.
And I came from a corporate environment, actually, speaking of, and I worked at Time Warner, which is now Warner Discovery, and employee resource groups and training and learning and development was so much a part of my 20s. And I feel so lucky that I got to do that. And so many people in the work culture now that we coach aren't necessarily craving that, or since COVID, everyone wants a different life, right? They have different priorities, and to be able to work from home or be hybrid or have opportunity for learning close to home, like you are providing something in a time where it's very much needed and craved, from young to our age to my dad, you know, who if he lived locally would probably want to come to the Excel class because he's never learned how to do it. We still made fun of him that until he retired was still doing his books in a big black book that he had to like special order. I'm like,
yes, they don't make the ledgers.
like they don't even make a ledger.
Wait, did we ask them what their first jobs were?
No, we didn't get there yet. No, we took
Russell,
it back.
what was your no, you said
but like
HSBC. I'm not talking about HSBC. I'm talking about what did you do?
Was the first thing you did to earn money?
First major thing was work at a hardware store and then get fired.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm better with the keyboard than building things with my hands.
Yeah.
You got yourself fired, huh?
Well,
What'd you
I think
do?
they said you're not good at building Weber grills, so we don't have a use for you anymore.
Totally. Got it. And what about you? What was your first job?
Dairy Queen.
Love it.
By the way, Blizzard.
Did you
it's
dump
very
it over
hard
to
to
show
scoop.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want to work in ice cream because it's really hard to scoop.
I worked at Friendly's. Same girl.
that was my workout.
Marissa, do you want to correlate, by the way, her desire to be a vet and his desire to hack to what they're doing now?
Okay, well, I would say if you have the innate desire to be a veterinarian, you're innately a nurturer, right? So at this moment, on the fly, Kat. At this moment, she is a community manager, which means that she's breathing nurture into this new business for the local community. And we are all just the animals that need the place to go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
Herding.
and so
Yeah, she's
you're
herding.
You're
She's herding cattle.
But the nurture,
Yeah.
I think that's the key ingredient.
I think Russell's is a little easier. He wanted to work on computers, and he does.
Yes, like that,
which I love.
Everything I know about Russell is he's extremely linear, except for the piece that's not.
Yep.
Which I think is the part that's fun.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So there's no shock except for the shock.
Mm.
And I feel fortunate that I've seen some of that, and I think that anyone that gets to know you well enough will know that you are who you say you are. You do what you say you're going to do. And if you're fortunate enough, you'll see a little piece of you that's sparkly, outside of the box, right? Probably enhanced by you. Let's be fair.
Yeah. And speaking of sparkly, by the way, that's actually a really good segue into my superpower question, which you kind of alluded to already, Russell, where his superpower is being able to sit for 20 hours and do something without eating, which, by the way, we can spin into a positive superpower. Okay. So to me, I'd love to hear what you think your superpower is. To me, it's your tenacity, right? Your ability to never give up and keep going until the solution is found, which is very linear and Excel driven, if you think about it, right? So Excel, the reason why I love Excel, by the way, I use Excel on a personal level a lot. Okay. In fact, in our coaching business, we do a lot of tracking. Okay. So we'll say to our clients that are looking for work or are building a small business, who have you spoken to so far? What did they say? Did they get back to you? Where are you with this thing? Where are you with that thing? Right. So it comes from sales. So for us, Excel was a solution to literally have a list going down with things going across that allowed us to see where we were in certain areas.
It's a good sandbox.
Literally exactly that. Over the course of my career, I've learned how to do other things in Excel. But if you just use it for that, like list making and checkboxing, it's literally saved our entire, like we literally use it.
I use it for all that too. I've never been able, other than like getting past the sum, I don't really know how to do more than
Like
that.
a lot of the, right.
My business has always been so forward that I don't need it.
But
right? And that's the thing. Excel is like if Excel can be behind, and it can also be top line. Wait,
but I was going to say his superpower in that Excel, to me, not to be super deep here, but I actually was thinking about this before we were interviewing you today, is so solution oriented. To me, Excel allows me to check a box. That's what Excel does for me. And I think I could spend hours in there and track everything I need in one spot. And I feel like that in and of itself sums up your superpower. It is an ability to never give up, to check the box, to continue. So you said it earlier, but I'm curious if you would agree with me when you were saying that your ability to just sit and do something for 20 hours is your superpower.
I have another one for you, but I'm going to let you answer yourself first.
That's one side of it. I also like people a lot. So a lot of people or a lot of folks in my line of work are a little more, they don't like to socialize as much.
More introverted.
Yeah. And I was, the social chair of my fraternity back in college.
Right.
So
it's
kind of a weird combination of both. And it lended itself really well to translating IT requirements to more of a business-minded person who may not understand it.
Like left and right brained together.
For instance, I was able to sell Cisco the idea that we could build their bandwidth capacity model that they sold to Comcast 10 years ago. So we built it in a compiled Excel application, and that was their testing ground to then sell the idea and everything to Comcast. So, it really is.
Those are a lot of words.
The tech side meshed with the sales side is kind of a lethal combo in terms of being able to accomplish things in this world today.
I agree.
So that's helped me from a very young age.
I agree with you. And
so much of David.
I agree with you. And I feel similarly about myself. I'm very creative but extremely operational. And I was very math minded always growing up. That was my favorite subject. I can do the things. Right. But the reason why we work so well together, in fact, shout out to Kat Ferguson, who's a career coach we work with that we refer business to. And we met her recently and she had us take a personality assessment, professional personality assessment called UMAP. And
have you ever taken one?
Have you ever taken any of these? Like Myers-Briggs, UMAP? There's several, obviously.
Print.
Okay. So similar thing. Okay. So we had to answer all these questions. It takes about an hour. Highly recommend this type of work, by the way, to anyone out there that's struggling with what they want to do. And we can refer you to Kat, who does it locally, who's amazing. So we took this assessment. And it's like some of the things are not even opposite from one another because you're kind of like, wait, I could do both of those things. But obviously the answer in and of itself is what feeds the fire. But I think it's so interesting that the reason why she and I are such good partners is that all of my strengths are the things that she struggles with and all of her strengths are the things that I struggle with within reason.
I don't think it was struggle. I mean,
I wouldn't say struggle, but like stronger. Like we're stronger.
I prefer it less.
Yes, prefer. Sorry. The questions were like, I'm good at this, but hate doing it. Or I'm bad at this, but like doing it. Or it was interesting the way the scale was that you had to like answer these questions. But I do find that interesting based on I'd like to hear your wife's superpower because I have a feeling that you complement each other, which is why you're able to work together. Mm-hmm. It's the same way that Marissa and I are. Often people say, I can't believe you work with your sister, right? I'm sure you guys I can't believe you guys are able to work together because some couples can't do that. And, I'm sure it's challenging as it is for us often. But what would you consider your superpower? Because I'm guessing it complements his in some way.
Yes. I'd say I'm very versatile, also determined. But let's say we worked at the hardware store together, I would have built all the things that you didn't want to build.
Yep.
Yeah,
So like we just switch off
that's how we are.
Yeah.
and make it work.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Any like Christmas or holiday, she's building the toys like the night before.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what I'm doing, but it's not that.
Isn't that so funny? I'm similar. Yeah, I
Right.
do that too.
But I think if you want to hear what I think your superpower is, Russell, I think that you are an incredible visionary
Mm.
and you're able to like literally see something to fruition when it hasn't even started yet. And he also is able to look at an individual and kind of assess their personality or what they're good at and say like, wow, you would be amazing at this. I think you could start X company and be so successful. Like that is such an incredible gift to have that.
It's intuition.
And I think sometimes, he gets frustrated because he's tried to help people before, but they haven't taken his advice. But yeah, it's just a really different, special thing that you have.
So I was going to call this, I'm going to come back to you too, because I think versatility is actually a beautiful superpower, but I could add a little sparkle to it, I think. I'm going to call you, see how this sits, because I feel like superpower and Russell, how about percolator?
Mm.
So I feel like I was, for some reason, hearing that word over and over while you're talking. It's like exactly what you're saying. Like you know, the coffee's dripping, right?
Mhm.
That's the best part. This smell comes into the kitchen. We know that it's coming. And you're able to turn the machine on, drip the coffee,
Mhm.
and get it all the way through to the cup, which, by the way, takes tenacity.
Mm.
And it takes the ability to have strong intuition, guidance, and the ability to see something through, which is, I think, what your wife was saying, and partner, wife, etc. Anyway, I think that those are excellent. I mean, I just think percolator has like a drawing, like we could draw you into a figurine
Mm.
that would be suitable in this room.
I think of a dance move.
Yes, dance move.
Yes.
Mhm.
My
That-
confidence is getting too high now.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I know. I'm
uncomfortable.
going to turn my back on you now. So, and we don't want you to get too comfortable. So versatility for Kat, right? So here's what I also think, Kat, what we're not saying is how many times you've tried something, excelled with it, and then paused gracefully.
Mm.
So versatility is one thing, but grace
Mm.
or acceptance of pause or being understanding of time is phenomenally powerful superpower.
That's a really hard thing to do professionally, for sure.
Right. So here's a young woman who wanted to be an interior designer, went to school for it. And then the world was like, sorry.
Mm.
And then you worked somewhere else and did events. And then you did events in a specific niche, which Hoboken was perfect, like petri dish for
Mhm.
baby showers. And then, COVID, and the world was like, sorry.
Mhm.
And you've gracefully
Pivoted.
said, okay, well, I'm going to take my nurture and my versatility, and I'm just going to gently do something else now, incorporating all the things that I'm good at. And you've done it again. So I see, if we're going to do dance move, percolator, I see you pirouetting, right? And I love that for you. And I think that makes the two of you such a nice partnership.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks volumes to where the Excel House and all that it has to offer will then fit itself into the community.
I agree. And I think you guys you remind me a lot of the way that Marissa and I work together. You need sometimes, though, when you are as determined and visionary as Russell, like an executor, a doer, a sparkler, a visionary, to make it kind of look pretty too, right? And function. And I think that's what we do very well together too. So I appreciate that about your partnership.
What would
So-
be some advice you'd give to somebody
Yeah.
else?
Like as you've now done this, you've started a couple businesses, and so have you. There are a lot of people out there that listen to these that are feeling stuck in some way, right? They are not feeling graceful.
You don't have to be upset if the people don't take your advice
Yes.
because we won't see them.
Right.
Okay, so I just letting you know.
They're just listening to what you're
Okay.
saying. So I'd love to hear, advice for other small businesses or pivoters or people looking for work,
or
anything
inspiration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Professional inspiration.
Right. I would say like lean into what you know that you're good at. And, be persistent, but also,
Open.
yeah, open to different ideas. How it might not be exactly what you were envisioning or hoping for, but maybe that's just a stepping stone to your next
thing.
part of your journey.
Mhm.
So,
Maybe it's half a step to the right of what your core
Right.
knowledge is.
and it's
It's
okay
just
to
done
veer
slightly different.
from your
Mm.
like what you've mentally pictured.
But if you start over and you're starting from zero, and it's going to take that, you don't realize how much time you've spent getting good at something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because life passes fast. You're like, oh, I forgot about that 7 years ago and I had no idea. And now I built those relationships in this field. To start in a whole different field is like starting over, or a whole different job description.
I give that advice a lot. I used to say this often when I worked internally in HR, where people would come to me and want to make change or move to a new city or change titles. I like that, half a step to the right? It's maybe pause and think, okay, can I do this exact thing that I'm good at somewhere else? Maybe it's the boss that's the problem. Maybe it's the office that's the problem. Maybe it's the commute that's the problem. But making all of that change at once after having spent time honing a skill is challenging.
Maybe it's marketing for a different industry.
Exactly.
It's the same skills.
Same
generally,
skills somewhere
but
else.
You're just pointing it a little bit, in a different direction slightly.
And I think why this conversation is so poignant for people like us as coaches is people get very debilitated by that thought process because they don't think they can do it and that their resume doesn't read that way and their LinkedIn doesn't look like it and no one's going to take a chance on them. And that's where we come in, right? We help coach them into the thinking that they can do that and we can help position them to do so. I love that advice. So do you guys have any like mantras or things that you say to each other or yourself besides Excel, obviously, duh. Because many of the things that you just said actually remind me a lot of our own mantras, which we talk about all the time on this podcast, which is like, just say yes, right? Opportunity knocks and you're like, I'm going to give it a shot. Or this person wants to meet me. I'm going to meet them. The answer is yes, until I figure out what that might serve me or how that's going to, affect my journey. And you were kind of saying being open, being just kind of innately know what you're good at. We talk about that all the time too, is kind of look within. That's why we ask, what did you want to be when you grew up, right? Because that innate skill of nurturing and then design is look at you now. That's so much of what you've done. Any mantras or thoughts or quotes or anything that you live by?
I think being uncomfortable sometimes is a really amazing thing because that usually leads to other doors opening and being more confident in yourself and just
be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
I like
that.
Yeah.
Being uncomfortable is a good feeling. It's an important feeling to have sometimes.
Professionally, for sure. Yeah.
I hate it, but I know that you're
right. It's
so
awful, but
it's awful. So right.
I hate.
But once you
I've been uncomfortable.
We were talking about that
decades.
this morning. How uncomfortable. Yeah.
Then it's almost like I did it. That was awesome. I feel self-confident now. I can do the next uncomfortable thing. Or
that's true. That's true. Do you feel the same, or you have your own?
Yeah, no, definitely being uncomfortable. In fact, our my sister-in-law, I guess she's your sister-in-law too, right? That's how that works.
Yes.
She was just asked by, I guess it was she works in the medical field, and she was asked by one of the pharmaceutical companies to come speak at a conference. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. And I said, yeah, raise your hand and say, yes, you will.
Yes,
because that just screams opportunity. We didn't know what it was. Turns out she gets hired doubles, triples her salary and is now on the way up to probably being an executive there in like 5 years, but all because she said yes to a very uncomfortable opportunity to speak in San Francisco at a conference.
Why isn't
Yes.
that?
Yeah, can I?
And
I'll take a job
prior to her
an
saying
opportunity
yes,
to speak in San Francisco.
we had seen her the weekend before, And she was telling us all about this. And once again, Russell's like, I know something great is going to happen. A wonderful opportunity will happen if you take this step.
Percolator.
And she did it. And
He's got some intuition. He's got you beat, Marissa, I think.
Right
He's
on.
Hey,
coming
listen,
after
I'm
your
welcome.
intuition.
I'm welcome.
No,
I
but she
welcome,
always-
I welcome all like-minded individuals. We all need each other.
We do. And to see,
The more, the merrier.
you know what? And I think what you guys are all touching on right now, which is so inspirational to me career-wise, is like, we need people around us that can see what we can't see, right? That's what we were
Yes.
just talking about for each
Right.
other and our businesses, but also for like the community, right? You guys saw that the community needed this and look what's happening. You saw that for your sister-in-law and look what's happening, right? So sometimes we just have to lean into other people and be
Mhm.
Good
comfortable.
for her.
doing
What's her
that.
name?
Trang.
Bang.
Trang.
Way to go, Trang.
Shout out to Trang.
Congrats to you.
We see you, girl.
Okay.
We don't know what you're talking about, but it's probably awesome.
Yeah. So one of our favorite things to coach our clients on, and then we end up talking about it often on here, is the concept of a dream crush. So I like to define it every episode because I think our listeners would love it, especially the new people listening. So we all know the feeling of a crush, right? We all have had one, right? Yours went back to college, apparently, from what I learned before. I was like, did you guys meet that way? Because operations for hedge funds, operations person. And she's like, no, college. And
Oh, you thought they met at work?
yeah, I was like,
Well,
did you guys meet at
We
That-
just knew
we
of
knew each other.
Got it.
We didn't date.
Yeah. It
Got it.
At
was
school?
in Hoboken, right.
Then you
At
found each other in
Gettysburg, we
Hoboken.
knew each other.
No,
and
on the
then,
dance floor.
yeah,
Found each
She
other.
found
The
me,
dance floor.
actually.
On the dance floor.
It
Which
was
bar?
hard to miss.
Dubliner.
Oh,
Mm.
Dubliner.
Oh, God.
I love those Hoboken days.
I was there yesterday. Not at the Dubliner.
I love Hoboken.
I went
Shout out to Hoboken.
yesterday.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is we all know the concept of a crush. And
My
we
daughter
were-
wanted 16 handles, so
Oh, yes.
and we
you went
picked
to
up her
Hoboken.
bungee,
Yeah.
Mm.
Nice.
brought it home.
I wish you had told me that. Thanks for the update. I would have had.
I didn't feel generous.
So the concept of a crush when we're growing up is like I like that person. Like I'm gonna like admire them from afar, or like maybe sit next to them, right? When it's your dream job or something that you want in life, professionally, it is 100 million% okay to go after it, right? And so often what we coach is the concept of acting on that crush. And what does that look like? It's outreach, it's being proactive, it's LinkedIn, it's networking, it's getting closer and closer and closer to that crush until you're either working for them or you're doing something similar. And that's the coaching that we do. But the crush is something that we find really inspiring, that even if it's not something that you want to go work for, it's a company that you follow. It's a person that you're inspired
A
by.
brand you can't live without.
So that you feel each day when you're like in it with Excel House and you're feeling uncomfortable, right? This thing helps you. And so we like to share that on the podcast because A, it could inspire someone else to go after that crush too, or look at that company, or apply to work there, or incorporate it into their life.
or it's just sprinkling good energy.
Yeah. And or it's just shining light on something amazing in the community or not local, that you feel inspired by, that you think is just doing it right. And I will go first for inspiration because I see you both
Yeah.
percolating.
See,
I think I just talked about this yesterday. I have an enormous newly found brand crush on Stanley. Obviously, you can see we have matching
you're
Stanleys.
late to the party on that one.
And I want to tell the story as to why. Very late to the party, but I was always resistant against Stanley's. I was like, I have 1 million cups, literally an entire cabinet that when I open it, cups like tumble out like a cartoon. And I like my cups. I was like, everything keeps it cold. I don't need a Stanley, whatever. And I was like, I'm such a marketing mind too. Like I spent so much of my career doing that I'm like, but what they're doing is so good. Like it's so smart. Everyone has one. The influencer marketing, all of it. And so I was resistant but appreciative of the crush. So PS to this, we go to Dick's with the kids and we walk in and the front of Dick's in Eatontown is an entire display of Stanleys. And my kids were like, I want this one, I want that one, whatever. We're there for baseball equipment. And next thing I know, I'm buying, two $35 cups that we don't need. And so I'm like, fine, whatever. They needed something new for baseball, fine. So they get the cups and I'm still like, I'm not going to get it. And then I walk to the back of the store and I see, if anybody's been to the Eatontown Dick's, the entire wall of the back of the store is Stanley cups. And they're merchandised in such a way that makes you like really understand and appreciate the thought behind Dick's and Stanley, right? So that's a meeting. They had some sort of conversation. This is how we're going to merchandise it in the store. This is the new color combinations. You guys are going to be the only ones that carry them, blah, blah, blah. And to me, as a small business owner, I find that fascinating how that all happened. And they won me over by this color combination, literally, right? I see this. I'm like, but it's neon and it glows in the dark. I said to Dave, my husband, I'm like, okay, it's $40 and I don't need another cup, but like, please look at it. It's so gorgeous. And I literally, weeks ago, this is 2 months ago, all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? Fine, Stanley, you win. And I tell that story because I think it's important to continuously look for inspiration in things that you didn't necessarily see them in, that now you're like, fine, I can't live without my Stanley. And then sent the picture to my sister and look what she did.
Same day within 2 hours.
She's like, I'm going to get that. And now it's our like official Dreamcatcher Stanley. So
And I tried to buy a different color, but I didn't like it as
please
much.
sponsor us. Anyway, do you guys have any brands, places, local companies, other co-working spaces,
I like
other people
picking something local.
Yep.
So I'm going to frame this for you. Okay. I like local and I like non-local. Because, by the way, our audience is both. This goes out to really far away from Little Silver. So I like a local shout out and I like
something that you're just
something that you
inspired
just
by
need.
as you're building this business and you're looking on Instagram and
maybe
you're
it's one of
seeing
your vendors, maybe
how
it's one
these
of your
people
food
are
supply,
doing it.
Like one of the people.
She has an answer now. She's ready.
I can feel it.
Are you ready?
I mean, I love supporting our community,
Yes.
and I have a few friends who own their own businesses, and I really am inspired by. They're always social. Like it's
Yes.
and it's fantastic. And so I think just watching that and seeing that every day, the persistence, the
And inspires
dedication,
you
the
to do it.
time that
Yep.
they've taken to make these posts, build their brand. I'm a Poe goer.
Same.
And I think what they're doing now with the addition to the studio is fantastic. And
Yay,
I
Liz.
just see, yes, she's awesome and incredible at what she's doing. Her following is amazing. And I saw it like kind of from the beginning, and now to see what it is today and what it's becoming is really an incredible thing. So I love watching what they do and also participating in the classes, obviously. But
she's going to love hearing that.
yeah.
So fun fact that, we don't do a lot of publicizing always of the companies that we work with, but I have helped Liz a ton get to where she is, and she's a Dreamcatchers client, and that makes me so happy to hear. And we actually just were the reason that she launched her app. We did the entire thing. So
Okay.
When we say we mean Jamie.
So operationally, I helped her launch that
I
app.
did not do that.
So she hired us to help her figure out how to get
I
from line
celebrated Jamie doing that.
So she hired us. She knew she needed help to, speaking of leaning on people that you would trust and feel inspired by, she and I are friendly and have been for years, and I'm a customer, and she knew that as Tootsie Olan, who's a customer of ours as well, says, I'm a get shit doner. And she's like, I just feel like you can help me with this. I don't know why. And I was like, I've never done anything like this in my life. Speaking of tech, I'm an operational person though, and I can think about things in a different way. And I'm a project manager. And she hired the Dreamcatchers to help her launch the app, which has helped her push the business into a different direction. So I'm just so happy to hear you say that, because I feel the same way, but I'm also supposed to feel the same way because she's my client. But so happy that you just said that about Liz, because I fully agree. And I think I've been going to post since the beginning also. And I find what they've done and the following they've created just really inspiring and amazing. And now she was able to retake over the downstairs space, which she had before and lost and now got back, which is amazing. And is expanding into a new modality, which is coming in mid-May, which is a reformer, but it's not, it's a different kind of bed, and I forget what it's called now. And, but she's training people in it, and it's going to launch, I think it's May 18th. So look forward for that. So I love that you just said that, actually.
Way to go, Kat.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right.
What about you?
You got to go big or go home.
So what's the question? What's inspiring around?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be around here. It could be
Just in
anywhere.
general, companies that you
Like
think are
a brand, a company.
that you think are just doing it
organization.
well, and also that you might be looking to as inspiration as you continue to build Excel House. Is there anyone out there that's doing what you're doing or not doing, like that's just keeping you inspired?
Or someone you like?
It's a good question. I think I'm more inspired by the area around here physically.
Yeah.
So there's big houses, nice cars. Then there's also other areas that are just nice and not as extravagant, but it's really all walks of life within 10 miles of here. And you can see how everyone who's present has a similar level of enjoyment no matter what they've accomplished. They're at the beach, they're rich, they're at the beach, they're poor. It doesn't really matter. I always saw those low income homes that are a block from the beach. And I said, man, if I lost everything, I'm living in those and really having a similar reality to what I have, now. So just being around water, being able to access all these things regardless of, where you're at is I think inspiring, because it kind of like distills life out to something that's a little more natural and organic, and you don't need all this fancy stuff. You can be inspired by things, but there's kind of a leveling that happens around here, I think.
I love that.
See, there's that piece. I love that piece. My grandma always used to say that God doesn't know the amount of money you have in your pocket when you're sitting on the beach in the sun. And I'm not sure if I just mangled that, but I think.
And she also used to always say, which my dad says still, is money just makes nice things nicer and hard things easier. And I think, but at the end of the day, we're all the same.
Yeah.
And so I love what you just said about staying inspired by your community, because isn't that exactly what you're creating for everyone else?
Yep.
And also, as far as like the Dream Crush goes, funny story actually is, a friend of mine that just moved here literally was inspired by our lifestyle, saw it on social media and was like, where do you live? Like, what is this life that you're getting to live? And she's from up by me, like Bergen County, what's Wayne? It's not Bergen. It's the other one. Passaic. And she literally was crushing on our lifestyle, which is a really interesting thing that you just said, because I just got that feedback from her recently, where she ended up kind of crushing on where we lived, reached out to me. We had lost touch and was like, where is this? And can I live there?
How'd she say Instagram thirst traps?
Yeah. She saw my Instagram and was like, you seem like you have such a nice life. And we went on an Israel trip together a million years ago. And she reached out to me, and then I helped her, find a spot.
My girls always say how funny, like when we're driving, it's like you can be 10 minutes from here and all of a sudden there are cows.
Yeah.
Like just simply said.
Yeah.
Like
And
you're going to a
horses.
soccer game and you're in a totally different vicinity.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
I love this area.
I like what you said.
Yeah.
It's true. Yay, Monmouth County.
Okay, so anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about that you want to plug coming up? I know we talked about 521. We have an Excel class coming up. There's you were talking about men's mental health
With your partner, Navasink Wellness.
is coming up in June. We are going to do a class in June for college students, so stay tuned for that. Now, actually, if somebody's interested in becoming a member, attending a class, give a little overview of the Excel House business model so that our listeners could maybe take advantage of what you're offering into the community.
Sure. Yeah, so we have a few different ways to kind of work within the space. You can be just a regular co-working member and do up to 5 days a month, 10 days a month, and just come into use the quiet rooms, open space downstairs. And then we have private offices, so part-time and full-time. We have conference rooms, and then mailboxes. So any of those combinations we can help facilitate. And basically you get in the building with your phone. It's just like a digital lock that opens. It's like a hotel lock. So easy to get in. I think it's open. We do 7 to 7 pretty much now. And then if you have an office, it can be anytime for the most part.
And it's beautiful. So if you're local and you'd like to
Take a tour, check it out.
check it out, reach out to Kat, the community manager, and get on her calendar. Anything else?
Anything else you didn't get to say or wanted to talk about as far as the business or anything else coming up?
I don't think so.
Great.
Okay.
Covered a lot.
Well, it's an
this
honor
was
and
such a
privilege to have
pleasure,
you
and
guys.
we are so proud of you guys and inspired by what you're doing as members of other co-working spaces, and at this point working from home now, hybrid and now full time for years, it's so nice to know that this is around the corner, that we could utilize this space, that we can host an event here. It's something that we've been wanting to do and don't have a space to do. So we're really excited to be able to do that.
We are ready to go.
And by the way, if you have an idea for curriculum, that's something that I know these guys are open to talking about, really, open to hosting a whole host of things there, which is super cool, professionally, obviously. But so grateful to have you guys here today. So check out Excel House. They are in Little Silver on Prospect, right across from like the Acme Shopping Center for those that are local here. Thank you to Christian for doing our sound today, Shared Universe. And thank you everybody for listening. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.